All right, we're going to try this a third time. Maybe it's a charm, but this will no longer be in 4K. But if that was the issue, then at least we know that. Okay, we're just going to get into it here. This is Decision Points. This is our daily breakdown where we go over 10 hot topics, topical and important today, give our kind of cut through the fluff, no propaganda take on things, and get you out of here in 10 minutes a little bit smarter and a little bit more prepared to you know, make an impact on the world, because you'll be informed on what what the real story is, or at least my take on that. So without further ado, 10 topics in 10 minutes, buckle up. Okay, so, and of course, more technical difficulties. Okay. So, yeah, let me just restart this. Okay, so I'm sure all of you have heard about what's been going on in Venezuela, but we're going to pull back a couple layers here and give you an alternate take on some of the rationale and the reasoning for what's going on. So, fresh after capturing Maduro, the U.S. has seized control of Venezuela's massive mineral assets, including silver reserves estimated at hundreds of tons. Okay, so anyway, hundreds of tons of mineral holdings, oil, gold, and silver. This geopolitical bombshell spiked silver prices at 3.5% to $75 an ounce, and a safe haven surge. I don't know what's going on here. Enter J.P. Morgan, who just paid nearly $1 billion in 2020 in fines for spoofing the silver markets and placing fake order to manipulate prices over an 8-year period. So the twist and the pulling back of the onion that I was trying to enunciate is that they've been nursing massive silver shorts. So they've been shorting silver, and they now owe 13.7 billion when as the prices have tripled. So to cover that amount, as I move faster than my prompter. So anyway, if you're familiar with shorting a position, then you know what that means. If not, you're going to have to look it up, because I'm already over my minute here. But essentially what's happened now is they're in a position to acquire enough silver to cover their short positions, if that makes sense. Complicated, but look it up, and it'll make sense why they would have a vested interest, because as of yesterday, January 4th, the U.S. announced a 7.5 billion silver smelter deal in Tennessee. So they're going to be doing silver smelting to process Latin American metals like silver and other critical minerals. This is financed by none other than J.P. Morgan, alongside the U.S. DoD, who holds a 40% stake in the joint venture. So anyway, along with many other reasons why the U.S. had to step in there, including some interesting things tied to Israel, which we won't get into, there is this J.P. Morgan situation, which is very curious, to say the least. Okay, so moving on. 2 influencers busted for fake Venezuela celebration videos. So social media is ablaze with claims of Venezuelans celebrating Maduro's ouster. But hold on, accounts like Nick Shirley and Wall Street Apes are under fire for posting fake videos. So these clips showing supposed joyous crowds are actually recycled footage from unrelated events. In some cases, AI footage. This has been busted by fact checkers and Venezuelan expats who are calling them out. Turning to Gaza. As of January 1st, Israel has banned 37 humanitarian aid organizations from operating in the Strip, citing clerical and transparency issues like staff disclosures. So this is, after the ceasefire, they're now not allowing humanitarian aid, which is the thing that was needed. The blockades were blocking the aid, and now Israel, for clerical reasons, like not filling out forms correctly, are banning these humanitarian aid groups. Groups include Doctors Without Borders and CARE are affected, worsening the crisis where aid is already scarce. Critics called it an escalation of control, suffocating relief efforts and ongoing tensions. This highlights globalism's failures when politics block humanitarianism, and that's saying it lightly. For us at home, it underscores the need for decentralization, empowering local aid over bureaucratic hurdles, yada, yada, yada. So be aware of that. Socialize this issue. It's clearly just more of the same, but it needs to be brought up. Okay, shifting to domestic scandals. Trump has commuted the sentence of Philip Esformes, who is the nursing home mogul behind a staggering $1.3 billion Medicare and Medicaid fraud, the largest healthcare scam ever charged by the DOJ. So, for those of you not familiar, this did happen in the previous administration when he pardoned him. I didn't get a lot of airtime, but that did happen. So from 2010 to 2016, Esformes bribed doctors for unnecessary patient referrals, doled out opioids to addicts, and kept beds filled, all while laundering kickbacks through his Florida network of facilities and splurging on luxury cars, private jets, $360,000 watch, etc. Why this is relevant is, as many of you are aware, Trump is pardoning people like crazy for similar things, including drug cartel leaders. And anyway, with that said, we want to keep an eye on this because this individual just lost a petition for certiorari to the Supreme Court, meaning they will not hear his appeal, and kind of sets the table for another Trump pardon. So we may be seeing that in the future. We'll be following that here, and we'll keep you abreast of that if it does come up. But we wouldn't be surprised if we saw another donation to Trump and another pardon for I think he's on the hook for another 50 million, which is nothing compared to what he's taken. But yeah, wouldn't be surprised. Okay, on to the next thing. An alarming oversight failure. A Pentagon report reveals that only 44% of the $13.4 billion in aid to Israel since October 2023 is being successfully tracked, with over 4 million in munitions lost in 42 unaccounted for deliveries. So this is, I think, roughly, I don't know, something like $7 billion of munitions, dangerous stuff and money that has been sent to Israel that cannot be accounted for. Who knows where it went, but it didn't go to them. Not that we really wanted it to go to them in the first place, but it's dangerous and scary. So, yeah, they're blaming it on staff shortages, but it risks weapons falling into the wrong hands, fueling endless conflicts, and again, who knows what these weapons will end up being used for. Even if it was used in its intended uses, we wouldn't agree with it. But yeah, just kind of par for the course of the Pentagon. Yeah, so next section, moving on to the WHO, a global pandemic treaty is moving forward through the World Health Organization with minimal public awareness and limited legislative debate. They're just kind of ramming it through. Supporters say it ensures coordination. That's the positive view of it. The critics say it centralizes authority over health emergencies like the COVID pandemic. And it also enables data sharing and response protocols to be centralized, i.e. not shared, not decentralized, which is definitely what we need given the WHO was not helpful, to say the least, on the last pandemic. Questions arise is, who decides what constitutes an emergency? Well, it would be them. Who enforces compliance? And what happens when national sovereignty conflicts with global directives? Major power shifts rarely arrive loudly, as is the case with this. WHO is heavily influenced by Bill Gates and others who do not have our best interests at heart. Moving along, in Israel, Netanyahu's government is ramping up attacks on free speech, forming a committee to replace independent media regulators with political appointees, allowing fines and sanctions on outlets. This is significant. For those of you who have been following along, Israeli newspapers can be credited for revealing truths and fighting back against the war crimes going on in Gaza that our own major press outlets have not had the courage to do. That's a little spoken about thing, but the Times of Israel and a lot of these other places are doing the work that needs to get done so that people can, become outraged and push back against it. A testament to the fact that what is being done in Israel's name does not reflect the will of the people as a whole. Steps must be taken to keep their freedom of press intact. Okay, so rate cuts are being framed as relief. Historically, they are warnings. Central banks cut aggressively when something breaks beneath the surface. Debt loads are extreme, consumer resilience is thinning, and the asset bubble requires oxygen. Rate cuts do not fix structural problems, they delay consequences. When markets cheer cuts, they are celebrating liquidity, not stability. The question is not whether rates will fall. The question is what forced the decision. Again, this data is something that we're not all privy to, but something's going on which is causing the rate cuts, but due to issues that we can't fully get into here, the rates for home lending are going up, not down, which is what the rate cuts are supposed to do. That's for another day. Okay, moving on to the next issue. The liberal global order is fracturing, with rising coalitions challenging U.S. dominance. Think China's alliances and regional pacts amid Gaza and Ukraine crisis. This shift from multilateralism to fragmented power blocks highlights globalism's pitfalls. For decentralization fans, it's a chance. Empower local governance over distant elites. Vote for trade policies favoring American workers and invest in domestic supply chains. Finally, we end on a positive note. Across the U.S., states are pushing back with devolution, claiming powers on education, healthcare, and more from federal overreach. This counters authoritarian centralization, aligning with global trends over localization. As midterms approach, it is important to start keeping track of who is on the ballot, who you should be considering, and who is already in office and is not living up to promises. Make sure you follow us if you want to get access to forums and assets that can help you track the candidates in your state and what they've been up to. Support local businesses over national monopolies. That's part of the decentralization that we promote here. Your spending and ballots will help decentralize power, create opportunities for everyone, and that is done through grassroots action. So we can make a difference. We just need to kind of figure out where those inflection points are and use our leverage to make that happen. So that's it for Decision Points, 10 moments of power, risk, and change that we wanted to raise to your attention. Our mission here is constant, to inform you, to cut through the media noise, and help you make meaningful decisions. How you vote, where you spend, and who you trust is how you're going to make a difference. If you've not yet subscribed, do it now. Hit the bell, turn on notifications. Stay sharp, stay free, and stay a decision.